All right, we're finishing the soils today. I was studying this week and found some other stuff in that chapter that deals with soil, but it's not pertaining to this. And that'll be in January. We'll talk about that. Here we go. Mark 4:14. The sower sows the word. So when he's talking about seed, he's talking about the word. These are the ones along the path where the word is sown. When they hear, Satan immediately comes, takes the word out that was sown into them. And these are the ones who are sown by rocky ground. He's talking about who, when they hear the word, immediately receive it with joy when they have no root in themselves. We talked about this last week. Endure for a while. Then when tribulation or persecution comes on account of the word, immediately they fall away. Others are the ones sown among thorns. They are those who hear the word, but the cares of the world, the deceitfulness of riches, the desires for other things enter in, choke the word, it proves unfruitful. Those are the ones who are sown on good ground. This is what we all want to be. We all want to be a verse 20, right? Yeah, just like I heard a girl yesterday. I was in a store, and she said, "Dad, just say yes." He was questioning her, and she was like in her 30s. She finally said, "Dad, just say yes." Like, in other words, I know what I'm talking about. Just agree with me. He said, "Yes." Just say yes. This verse 20 is what we want to be. Yes. Thank you. In heaven, I believe you'll respond. But those that were sown on good soil are the ones who hear the word, accept it, bear fruit, 30, 60, 100-fold. Now, we're going to deal with this thorn issue, and I think probably it's where most of us are. And you say, "Well, George, this is really one I used to really, really battle with, and God got me over it." When God gets you over something, he does a really good job. I used to care a lot about what I'm about to talk about, and he has a way of taking care of that, and he took care of that with me. Where are you at right now? Oh, I'm verse 20. No, I'm not. I'm not verse 20. I'm not good soil. Now, this may be your first time here, and you've probably never heard a preacher be honest. I believe in honesty. I'm not. I'm last week. There's stuff underneath my soil. This is where I'm at, really, right now. That I sprout out quick, I go, and then just things suck me dry quicker now. We'll be talking about that later, how I'm going to deal with that. That's kind of where I'm at. So I'm not good soil. I've been all four. I've been hardened. I've been where I'm at now, and I've definitely battled this. It was kind of who I was. And I've been good soil. I've been soil where God, you can see just the fruitfulness and things happening. And so anyway, let's talk about this today. We'll deal with me in a couple weeks. Jesus said, how many believe Jesus? Okay, again. Same people. Same people who will sign up for Fall Fest. Jesus said, "Don't store up for yourself treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy, where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where there is no moth and no rust and no thieves. And where your treasure is, your heart will be also." Treasure is this. Treasure is anything we value above all else, which motivates our actions and our reactions. Jesus said there's one or two paths that we pour into. It's one or two. It's either eternal or temporal. Eternal or temporal. And Jesus said, if we will identify what we treasure, okay, we can identify the condition of our heart. And he warns us, Jesus warns us, that earthly currency has an expiration date. Earthly things have an expiration date. Now, we know that. Matter of fact, I looked in the mirror this morning and said, "You have an expiration date." You know? And Jesus is urging us to live with the first second in mind after our last breath. Jesus is urging us to live in such a way that when we take our last breath, it will impact our first breath eternally, right? So he says, when we store up treasure in heaven, we make choices on earth that benefit God's kingdom. And most of us think the opposite of generosity is greed, okay? In some cases, it is just greed, but in most cases, the opposite of generosity is fear. It's fear. I'll give you an example. A couple weeks ago, I told you we were going to send stuff to Louisiana, and asked for donations so we could send to Louisiana because we've been in that place before, and therefore we would like to reciprocate and bless them. I would like to report we had 4 18-wheeler full of stuff. Don't clap, I'm lying. We probably filled up a garbage bag. All right. Now, I'm not getting on to you. I'm telling you why. The reason is we know what it's like. It works one or two ways. Either going through something creates gratitude or it creates fear. So we know what it's like to be without. Therefore, now we have, and our fear is, what if another storm comes and I need my dehumidifier that has dirt daubers built in there and the fan don't work no more? So we hold on to, anybody know what I'm talking about? I'm not getting on to you, I'm the same way. We hold on to either experience creates generosity that says, man, I know what that's like, I've been through this and here it is. Or it creates, I gotta hold on to this because what if it happens again? So the opposite of generosity is not always greed, it's normally fear. Fear, what, I might need this crocheted cup holder. Right? I remember one time when I was in youth ministry, and I was in youth ministry 9 years, and anyway, I did a garage sale, and I asked people at the church to bring this. Wasn't this church? Anyway, and I remember people bringing underwear with skid marks in them. If you don't know what that is, Google it. Has nothing to do with racing. Maybe. I rode with some people that, never mind. Anyway. Why am I off on this? This is not even where I'm at. Oh my gosh, it's going to turn into another week series. Move on, George. If you're first time here, look, it gets worse. Come back. Fear is the foundation of greed. Matter of fact, I'm a number 5 on the Enneagram. If you've never done the Enneagram test, you will need to do that. My friend Jeff Harris is coming in November. He has wrote a book on the Enneagrams, which was originally written on the 9, what's the 9 sins? Right? Now, there were originally 9. If you do the Enneagram, you know there's 9 numbers. The Catholic Church took the Enneagram, didn't like 9 of these sins, and they got rid of 2 and made it 7. The 7 deadly sins or 7 whatever sins. There's really 9 of them that are originally written in 1800s. And so the Enneagram is not a personality test. It's a spiritual test. It's one of the most accurate tests I've ever been through. It nailed me right between the eyes. I'm a 5. 5s, listen to me, 5s battle with greed. I am a knowledge seeker. I seek things because I don't want to depend on you. That's who I am naturally. I'm not a good asker. I could be treading water and you have a life preserver in your hand, and I would try to do it on my own to get to the bank rather than go, hey, could you throw me that? I don't want to be dependent on you. That's how I'm naturally. I don't know if I was born that way or if situations in my life that said I don't like depending on people because people have let me down, people have stabbed me in the back, people have cut my throat, people have done everything. And so maybe it kind of morphed me into who I am now, but I love information. I love it. That's why there's pages of handwritten notes. That's just who I am. I got friends that preach with 1 page, 3 points. I have 11 pages. I write my thoughts out. And so I'm a 5. I battle with greed, not so much that I don't want to give because I am a generous person, but I do like to make sure that I am taken care of in case of an emergency. Matter of fact, I was going through my shop the other day, and I love tools. I'm a tool nerd. I like to work. Well, that's what I like to do. That is therapy for me. Some of you smoke dope. I build things. I build things. All right, it's better on the marriage. It's not, you don't have to look in the mirror when the cop's behind you. It's just way better when you got a chop saw versus a bag of weed. It's way better. That's my therapy. I love to build things. I have a MIG welder. I love that stuff. I was going through my shop. I have 2 MIG welders. I have 2 chop saws that are miter saws for wood, and I have 2 metal chop saws. I have 2 sets of ratchets. I have 2 of everything. I have 4 hammers. Why is that? I don't want to be in the middle of a project and have to call one of you and say, can I borrow something? I have nuts, bolts. Anybody that knows me knows before they go do something, call and say, do you have this? Because I probably have it. And my wife goes, you need to clean this mess up. I said, oh. Did you just say mess? This is not mess, sweetheart. This is nectar. This is potential here. Right? No, do the Enneagram, because when Jeff comes, he wrote a book on it. It's one of the best books I've ever read on this, and it's so precise, it's so good. He's coming November 21st. And you go to Enneagram Coach. It's free. Find out what your number is. You're going to be amazed, and it's going to help you. But I'm a 5. I know me now. One reason we desire things is for security. Look, amen. The second reason, I want to talk about this. The second reason we desire things is because of what I want to call the comparison trap. We live in a filtered, staged, cropped snapshot world. I'm not on social media. Well, I say that. I do have Instagram. I need to check that. It's been a while. Might be something you put on there that really changed my life. Matter of fact, it keeps telling me you haven't been active in a long time. There's a reason. I'm not on Facelift, none of those things, but I do stalk my wives. But social media, let me talk about social media. We live in a social media, non-face-to-face world. There's people that will put things on social media that you will not say to my face. Because the reason you won't say it in my face is because I'm going to say something back to you, but since you put it in cryptic, without putting a name, it's created cowards. Okay. But here's what I know about this. Social media, in most cases, some people want sympathy and you put stuff out there. We don't care where stuff's coming out of to pray for you. So if that's you, bring it to Jesus. We don't want to read it. You know what I mean? Or to the doctor. 99.9% of things you see on social media is best foot forward things. Pictures of kids posing for pics that you say, my God, I wish my kid would act like that. We did family pictures a while back, and we did at Claiborne. My oldest daughter said, we're going to do family pictures. She set it up, and I had to pay for it. Dad, we need family pictures. I'm thinking, okay, now let's set it up, and now when it comes time to pay, they're all like, oh, come here. How much is this? Baby, you got any money? Some. So we have our grandkids. And if you go in my office, you'll see them. Holding them. What you don't see is, get him. Grab him. You know how they stiffen up? That's what, you don't see that. See, you didn't see the real life. You saw the snapshot. In social media, we got kid, Bobby, A. Conduct, F. We didn't show that, but A and PE. Snapshot of the new house, the new car, and I thank God for blessings, all that. I'm for blessings. Spousal kissing. Look what my love gave me. Look what he bought me, right? And it's a new $90,000 vehicle, and yours is like, wow, 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 wow. In the name of Jesus, right? See, but that's not all the story. It's not all the story. See, we don't get the story, do we? We get the snapshot of, I wish mine loved me that way. Well, maybe yours got more business sense, and he knows we don't need to be in that debt, so let's just keep cranking. See, they're just snapshots, and we want to have the same snapshot, don't we? So here's what we do. We lie, we fake it. We go buy the house we can't afford, the new car we didn't need. We enroll our kids in every event known to mankind. I've never seen such a busy generation with kids. I've never seen so many things created to compete with our time. See, society has told me keeping my kids busy is the same as quality time. Comparison. You know the first murder in the Bible was over comparison? Two brothers, Adam and Eve's first two, Cain and Abel, they both bring an offering to God. God goes, yours is good, yours isn't. Right? So instead of fixing the issue, instead of Cain going, you know, God, okay, what was wrong with mine? What do I need to do? How do I need to better myself? Right? What do I need to do? See, that's not what competition does. What he does is what we do. He eliminates the competition. I'm going to preach to you this morning. I know it was baby dedication. People are like, guys, he always this way. Is this Mama and Papa's coming? You never hear one of those. This guy this way? No, he's crazier most of the time. He's actually hadn't had but one cup of coffee. Don't come the second, because I feel a coffee urge coming on. See, the comparison trap, you know what I'm saying is true, because I've been here and tempted to. The comparison trap always leads there. If I can't keep up with them, the best thing to do is destroy them. I mean, you may not be picking up a rock like Cain did and smushing them, but verbally, destroy them. Through social media, we destroy them. And we destroy their children because their children got picked and mine didn't. There was a day when I was raised that if you sucked, you didn't play. I played tailback in high school. I got off the bench and said, hey, coach, put me in. He said, God, get your tailback on the bench. My dad, as a matter of fact, I didn't play ball. I was raised Pentecostal. It was a sin. I didn't play sports. Anyway, feel sorry for me later. Didn't do a lot of things. If it was F-U-N, it was S-I-N. Anyway, so no, I didn't play sports. Anyway. There was a day that when you wasn't any good, you didn't play. And the parent didn't call the coach and go, how come you not playing my kid? Because he needs to be doing something else. You can't do that no more. You get put on Facebook. I wish I had my Play-Doh. Train up a child in the way he should go. When he's old, won't depart from that. That's not talking about, you need to do that, but it's not talking about scripturally. That word train is an occupational term. Figure out what your kid's good at, what they're gifted at. Train them in that way. Because there's a lot of parents, and I'm going to say this and you're going to get mad. There's a lot of parents trying to relive your life through your kids because you wanted to be good at something and you weren't, so you're going to try to make them good at something, and they don't like it, but they're going to do it anyway. You listen to me. You're doing your kid an injustice. You need to figure out what they're good at. I don't care if that's playing piano or twisting a wrench. I got 2 grandkids. I was watching one the other day. My littlest one is taking things apart. I told his mama, that kid's going to be good with his hands. My other one is a thinker. He's a thinker. You need to figure out how to train those kids. There you go. There's my baby dedication. This is going to be 2 weeks. This is going to be 2 weeks. I got like 10 pages. I'm not. Comparison. You know what I'm saying is true, and there's some of you that aren't here that need to be here, and you need to put this on social media and post this. No. Especially with girls, I raised girls. 2 greatest days of our lives was when Brooklyn made cheerleading and when it was over with. I've never seen so much mama drama in my life, and I'm thankful that I'm married to a wife that is not into drama. I've never seen so much mama drama. I told her, thank you, Jesus, God, hallelujah, glory to the heavens. This is over with. Right? There's a book called The Third Odd Girl Out. It's The Odd Girl Out. If you've got more than one girl, get the book, because you're going to find out girls work better in even numbers, not odd numbers, because one of them's going to get left out. Buy the book. And if you got boys, listen to me. Buy this book by Dr. Kevin Leman, Making Sense of the Men in Your Life. It's going to talk about your dad, ladies, your husband, and your boy. And it's painfully true. Buy the book. If you got girls, Odd Girl Out. If you got boys, Making Sense of the Men in Your Life. Some of you need to go ahead and write this down, because you're going to forget. You're going to be calling me and asking me, because this is sitting on my notes and I'm not going to remember saying it. I'm always content until I see something I don't have. I said me, I don't know about you. Discontentment is the thief of joy. Let me point this out. Please hear me. Remember when what you wanted is what you currently have? Remember when what you wanted so bad is what you have now? Does the now feel like what you thought it would before you had it? Ask the average person which means more to them, the approval of strangers or the affection of people closest to them, and 100% of the time, most of them will say, the people closest to me. I want that. I don't the approval of strangers over affection from people closest to me. I want people closest to me. Yet, many of us, we've embarrassed our spouses and our children because of what others might think. I want people to think certain things, and so I do certain things, and so we discredit, we put down. If you put down your wife in public, you need a good old-fashioned blanket party. If you don't know what that is, I'll tell you what that is later. It has nothing to do with the bedroom, though. If you discredit, listen to me, man, I don't know why, I'm just talking today. The Bible says she is the weaker vessel. The weaker vessel. It's not our job to make them even more weaker. It's our job to build them up. I'm working on a series. It's going to come during the month of, I think, Valentine's is in February. I'm working on a series called Staying in Love. Not staying alive, not, it would work. Staying in love, staying in love. Staying in love. Ask the average person what they want out of life, and they'll say to be happy. How many want to be happy? I want to be happy. I don't want to be sad. I just want to be miserable. I want to be happy. We buy books, right? 10 classes, listen to podcasts. Change our lifestyles, all in spite of all of that, everything we do, most of the time we don't feel happy. We don't feel happy, and the reason why we don't feel happy is because that's the reason why you're not happy with your phone right now, because you looked over and somebody has the 11, you got the 10. And all of a sudden, I was content until I saw something I didn't have. And then I have the oldest computer in the whole office. My computer is 12 years old. I'm the 4th owner of this Mac ProBook computer. And they laugh at me, but that sucker is Teflon coated stainless steel. It will not break. Now, it's not fast, it's slow, but it's steady. It's like that turtle in hair. The new ones are the rabbit. Mine's, there's just some things, but I'm not tempted with that. But everybody else that's a younger generation would just die if they had to walk in here with my MacBook Pro that's 12 years old, right? Those things don't matter to me, but there are things that do matter to me, right? And I'm happy until I see something I don't have. And then we do all these things, we get all this, and then I'm still not happy. Why should so many of us that have so many reasons to be happy, why do we constantly feel like something is missing in our lives? And I'm glad you asked that question. Why is it then when I get everything I wanted, it's still not enough? Here it is. We're made up of three things: body, soul, and spirit. Our spirit will live forever, right? Our body will perish. We'll have a new body. You know this one's not going, right? Thank God. I'm not going to have an ab in heaven. I'm going to have abs. I have an ab right now. I'm going to have abs. But there's that soul part, the emotions, things of us. Why is it that we get these things and we're not happy? Because our souls are not hungry for fame. They're not hungry for comfort. And they're not hungry for wealth. They're not hungry for power. Our souls are hungry for meaning. Really, what we're looking for in this stuff is meaning. We want to matter. I know I do. I want to matter. And the temptation is, if your kid excels, you'll be accepted, then you'll matter. If you live in this, you'll be accepted, then you'll matter. Right? I know this. I'm preaching to me. I don't know. You're just listening, and you're looking at me weird. Basically, I am going to pursue one of two forms of richness: the richness of having, or the richness of being. Having means getting more stuff. Being means giving more, being the blessed more, seeing my life make a difference. And when my life starts making a difference, that gives me more meaning than anything. And one of the main reasons I believe that we're tempted to pour ourselves into our jobs and our activities more than relationship is this. Because on our jobs, it's easy to keep score. It's easier to know if I'm winning. Because I can look at my stuff and I can gauge my success. But it's not that easy with relationships, is it? And so we are searching for meaning. We are searching for acceptance. And we're searching for something we can measure. That's why we put so much of our time into what our kids do and what we do on a job and stuff that is visible more than we pour ourselves into relationships. Because it's easier. Listen, we now live in a generation that people admire you more for what you have than who you are. People were much more, impressed by what I have more than the relationship me and Angie have. That's what we've morphed into. And Jesus is not talking about having stuff. He's not saying sleep on the street. Jesus is saying be careful that stuff don't have you. All right? Matter of fact, how can we make a difference if we're not blessed? Okay? And you're wondering what this pizza box is for. Now, you're going to have to come next week because I'm not getting there. So I'm going to get some more pizza because this is not going to work next week. What I was going to do with this pizza, if we don't want to do next week, we're going to get some new pizza. I need 2 hot and readies. I'm looking at you, Bryce. He's standing there behind the wall. Bryce, Megan, Rachel, Darla, I need 2 hot and readies. Now, y'all hear this? So when they say, we didn't know, it's on video, people around the world right now are listening. I need 2, because there's 2 services, 2 illustrations. I need 2 hot and readies. We good? Because it's a good illustration, and I don't want to get you sick. Because I don't know how long this has already been in the fridge this morning, but it was in the fridge, and so, yeah, you know, it wasn't moldy. But I'm going to get 2 more. So we'll talk about this next week. How does Little Caesars and the Word of God go hand in hand? Caesar's mentioned in the Bible. It's biblical. What I'm doing, I just stick with the Bible, man. We're biblical here. It's Caesar. I couldn't do Domino's because that's a sin. You know what I mean? People gamble with that, so we couldn't go with Domino's. Pizza Hut, that sounds like something you hang out and smoke dope in, so we didn't do that one. Caesars. I love y'all. Love y'all. How many in this place at the end of your life want to be known for what you accumulated, or do you want to be known for making a difference? I've done a lot of funerals, 600 and something now. I'm actually fixed to start writing a book. I've always wanted to write. I'm supposed to write 2 books. Just write one on funeral sermons just to put out, and I do funerals different. I want to put that out and help people, and I'm going to write another book. I've always wanted to write and fix to start that. On waiting well. Waiting well. What does waiting mean? Because I don't do this naturally. I had to learn the hard way. What does it mean to wait well? Waiting doesn't mean sitting. It doesn't mean being passive. When he says, they that wait upon the Lord, it doesn't mean I'm just sitting here. What are you doing to wait? So I'm talking about. But in funerals, I've done a lot. I have done funerals of multimillionaires. I've done funerals of people that didn't have nothing. Okay. Now, I'm not saying some of the greediest people I've ever met have nothing. Greed is not, I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. Greed has nothing to do with what you have or what you don't have. It's just condition of the heart, in Jesus' sake. I've never had anybody, when I stood at the head of a casket, and say, dude, did you know him? He had so much stuff, or she had so much stuff. Not one person. But that's what their last words were over this person. I've heard a million zillion times. The person impacted me so much. When I was at my lowest, I remember them pulling up to my house. Yeah, they left an oil spot on my parking lot. I remember them pulling up to my house and say, I'm not here with the answer. I just want to have coffee with you, and I want to love on you. I remember when my husband left me. She came and said, get in the car. The sun's still shining outside. Life is still happening. Come on, let's go. I've heard so many of those stories. Listen, when George Gall takes his last breath, it may be today. I don't know. There's no guarantees of that. One of them bad drivers out there. I'm a good driver. One of them bad drivers might take me out. I might start hurting this week and go to the doctor, and he goes, this thing's in stage 4. That's life. I don't know what you've been taught religiously. That's life. I want to live my life in such a way, okay, that when you walk by, if my wife opens the casket, that you don't say, oh, he looks good. No, you're lying. You don't. I don't look good. I'm gray. I don't look good. Don't say that. Just call it what it is. It looks rough. You walk by and go, you know what? let me tell you what this guy did for me, or let me tell you how he impacted me. Let me tell you, I needed a saw, he had two. And I know you're that way too. All right? And we're going to dig into this even deeper next week, me and Little Caesar. And we're going to look at what Jesus is talking about, okay? Because I do not want things to choke out fruit in my life, okay? And I want to finish well. I'm at the stage of my life I'm thinking about that now. Isn't that weird? I'll be 55 in a couple weeks, I guess, months. Just don't rush it. I'm 54 and 3/4. I'm thinking about now finishing well. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Just finish well. But in order to finish well, you got to start well. At some point, you got to exit, and then you got to get on a different road. You know what I mean? So I want to find out what Jesus is telling us here, and see what we can do with it. See how we can change the world. See how we can impact the world. All right, let's stand. Father, you are the potter, we are the clay. The only thing that can stop you from creating what you have in mind as the potter and we are the clay is the receptivity of us to your hand. The condition of the clay will affect the plan of the potter. If you're constantly having to stop and you're having to pull things out, you're having to add water because I'm hard, there's things in there. If there's, Lord, I want my life to be as putty, as clay in the hands of a potter on the wheel. Lord, we are fleshly, sinful. That's who we are. That is who we are. That's how we were born. That's how we're created. It was not your design. Sin caused that. But Lord, you still have a plan for us. You have a purpose for us. And everybody in here, God, I believe, wants to be in the will of God and be exactly what you've created us to be. So God, I pray, between now, 7 days, next Sunday, we would take an honest assessment of ourselves and ask ourselves and answer honestly, which soil represents me? Which soil am I? Am I hard where the word just hits and don't penetrate? I just, for whatever reason, I won't let it in. Or is it rocky soil? But no, just a veneer of soil on top, and then there's rock, and there's things below the surface that are just needs to be dealt with. Because, Lord, I start out good and I burn out quick. Or is it the third, God? Is it the seed, the word, every time it throws out, every time I read it, it does put some kind of conviction in me that says I need to take this step, but there's so many things in competition with it that it just never happens. It just, they overshadow, and there's so many things going on. Or am I good soil? Am I seeing fruit? Am I seeing love, joy, peace, patience, long-suffering, self-control, mercy, gentleness? Am I seeing these things? If I am, see, fruit. Trees never produce fruit for themselves. Trees always produce fruit for others. And what am I doing? Am I loving? Am I loving? The joy that I have in you, is it infectious? Right? Lord, I pray that we would take an honest assessment. I know where I'm at. I know what soil I am. And Lord, I know what to do about it. So I pray that we would do that, God, because we want to be everything you've created us to be. It's in Jesus' name I pray, and everybody say amen.